start a new religion? This is a topic I've been interested in for some time, since my first job in Japan, which was working at a large chain eikaiwa. And working there, I realized that the company wasn't set up to teach English. It was set up to take money off people in return for selling them a dream of what English could do for them. And I realized this is rather like a kind of a cult religion. And I started to realize that in Japan, English is presented as something spiritual, as the access something greater, something more wonderful, things like world peace. And I thought, well, what can we do with this? And I've read a lot about cults and how religions start. I'm going to talk about that and how it compares to the English teaching industry. Now, why should we do this? Because, well, the first reason is the money is fantastic if you get it right. The Mormons, $30 billion in total. The Moonies, about $1 billion for the founder. The Church of Scientology gets $500 million a year. Sokogakkai International, started in Japan, possibly up to $2 to $3 billion every year. We don't know because it's tax-free. The other thing is, starting your own religion is a kind of therapy. Religions, it's theorized, they're started by people who are mentally ill, who have psychotic episodes, and they have these moments of madness where they believe they're talking to God. And if they can get someone to believe that they have talked to God, it's a kind of therapy for them. So it makes you feel better. Now, the other thing about religions is they need to start with a charismatic leader. And white men in the room, we have an advantage because, and research shows, white men in Japan are presented as having supernatural, charismatic powers, being able to do anything, be happy, be polite, be sophisticated, intelligent, wonderful. So we are starting off in a very, very good position. Now, what do you teach in your cult? Now, when we think about cults and new religions, we often think about very strange ideas. There's a Hora Hana Sanbyo Pogyo, which is a Japanese foot reading cult. Or very famously, there is a cargo cult that believes that Prince Philip, the Queen's wife, is a god. But these are unusual. Most religions are actually based upon the culture's own original beliefs. This is because there's a principle called the conservation of cultural capital. Recruits to new religions don't want to be challenged. What cults are actually doing is they're selling the people their own prejudices, but pretending it's the cult's own new idea. There are examples of this. You look at the lineages of some new religions. We start off, for example, with Scientology. It clearly comes out of psychoanalysis. The idea of confession will make you clean, which itself comes out of the Catholic confessional. The Moonies Unification Church, it's based in Christianity, also involves talking to the dead, like spiritualism, and it's also based in anti-communism. Communism is the work of the devil. So what ideas can we have in our English religion teaching in Japan? There are certain prejudices. One, Japanese are special needs learners. They have particular difficulty learning languages, and we must tailor to this and patronize them. Also, native speakers are magical. And also, we have to pretend that our method is our own new original method, even though it's always PPP. In almost every single eikaiwa. And so, the other thing we must do is remember to not to promise anything specific about what you're going to be able to do, what total you'll get. Sell them dreams. Tell them you're going to get new international friends, you're going to become an international ambassador, you're going to create world peace through learning English. Now, how do you attract people into cults? Now there's a big myth, and in the literature it dismisses this myth, the myth of brainwashing. People are not brainwashed into cults. People join cults through their own free will. It's not true. And also, being approached on the street is not the way that people usually enter new religions. It doesn't work. There are specific ways, and you can see that language schools actually follow the specific ways to attract people. And the most important thing is having ties and affection with people. Family members, that's the one big way to join. Through friends and acquaintances, introduction campaigns. Internet social working, here's a cult here, started up by someone in the room. And also what's very important is the warm, outgoing and positive nature of the people in the cult, so we should be genki, happy teachers to bring people in. The other thing that's important is who we're going to target. It's people who are young and educated. Cult members are generally got university degrees. They don't have jobs, they don't have families, and so they're very easy to bring in. They're usually not attached to a church already. Being a member of a church inoculates you against joining a new religion. But they are after some kind of truth, somehow. You also want to attract people in something called liminality, people in the in-between stages of life, people who've suffered a death in the family, a divorce, people who are leaving home, people who don't know what they're going to do with themselves. Because these people join these cults for a rational reason, to find the answer to their lack of a role, lack of a bit of a thing to do in life. So these are the people we need to target. University students, of course, we all have access to those. Young widows, if you can find them, be fantastic. Not so many of them. And also, in Japan, unmarried women in their late 20s, under all kinds of pressure to find a role, certain disposable income, so we should latch onto them to try and convert them to our cult. Now, what's important, how to keep them involved, is you have to get them involved in intensive interaction with each other. You try to weaken any ties they have outside the cult. But it's open to a certain extent because they are people who are also going to bring other people in. You can't be too strict, you can't hide people off. How can you do this? Well, there are several ways you do this. We have English clubs and activities, take them away at weekends and the evenings, give them intensive courses, this ties up the teachers as well. Make sure teachers have lots of paperwork that also ties them into the cult and disorients them. And homestays are fantastic. You take them away from their families, tell them not to talk to anybody they know already, and you can control where they are and who they are and who they talk to. There is a danger when you have a cult. It's something called the routinization of charisma, and it is that although we start off being charismatic, after a while it starts to fade, the power starts to fade. L. Ron Hubbard, the founder of Scientology, was very good at getting around this. What you do is you reorganize, you divide and rule. You change the ideology, you add new spiritual levels, and you control access to yourself. You try to shut yourself off from everybody in particular. And you do this by changing curricula for no reason. Introduce lots of new certificates for students to get. They mean nothing, but the students go, wow. Fire the old and the pregnant because they're jaded or they have outside attachments. And never be in your office. It's a good idea for university teachers. I want to leave this one thought about why we're talking about this, because which is more achievable for us these days? Is it going to be a nice tenured university job, or is it being the leader of a new religion? Thank you very much.